Aloha Flow Riders, and welcome to this edition of The Flow. Oh my goodness, listen, we've been working on this new style, and I gotta say it's been a lot of fun. So, first week we talked about what we're talking about. This month is community, right? The second week, we're supposed to have on our special guest, but she's busy because, she's cooler than we are. So we flipped it and we did our activation, which is the action step. We did that last week. And then now we're bringing in our expert. And I can't wait to dive in. And I didn't tell Becky ahead of the showgram, but we have something in common. Many of you guys know I am a partner in a real estate company here in Honolulu, Hawaii. And the name of my real estate company is Affinity Real Estate.
No way.
And her company is Affinity as well. So we have something in common. But without further ado, let's get over and let's say hello to Becky. Hello, Becky Pierson Davidson.
Hello. I had no idea that we had that in common. That's fun.
It's one of my favorite words. And I think it goes, like even when we were coming up with the idea, a lot of realtors use their name, and Karen really didn't want to use her name. And she does something that's very rare. Like people hear all the realtors, they have their faces on the business card, and Karen refused to do that. And I was like, why? I mean, you're hot. And she's like, yeah, no, it's not about me. It's about them. And I was like, bingo, I got the perfect thing, right? And so we came up with the Affinity thing, and I kind of explained to her. And of course, it just helps that it's an A. It puts you at the front of the book. That was never
I'm trying
the
to be on
intention,
page one.
but it just happened anyway. All right, so I didn't want to go too deep into the whole bio thing. I'm like, they can search you and look you up. But how about you give us a real quick one as to sort of what you do and why you do it?
Yeah, so I'm the founder of Affinity Collective. We build online communities, memberships, and I do it because I think building community, number one, is like the best way to build a sustainable long-term business. And I also believe that the people that are prioritizing community, if I can serve them, I feel that I'm serving people that are trying to make the world better. And that just feels good for me. And I like to feel good about the work that I'm doing.
Awesome sauce. I really like it. So, you said you went in and checked out what we did so far. I'm a little nervous, but I think we got a somewhat of a handle on the community thing. But let's see. I really liked something as I was reading through your stuff, and you were speaking about like how architecture works in building a community, and just like to briefly touch on that because I think that's a really cool concept.
Yeah. So we have this framework, and architect is like the foundations are stage one. And there's like a little nod to my past there because I went to architecture school. And so I started my career working on designing buildings. And so I'm kind of like playing with my past a little bit with that framing, but it also makes a lot of sense because we're architecting a space for people to come together and grow and learn and connect with one another. And so it's really about like, how do you build a structure and foundations that are going to help people be successful and connect? And yeah, it's just like a building, except it's easier to go and fix the foundations after you build it than with a real building.
I like that. I really like that. It's such a brilliant concept because I do think it makes it a little bit easier to understand. And Katie said in the chat, yeah, it's such a great framework. So one of the things that I think has been the hardest for people in general, and even myself, because I have been really contemplating moving my community. So my current community lives inside of Discord. And I've been contemplating moving my community because I do have an older community base, and many of them complain about Discord. In my brain, I'm an old school nerd. I'm like, it's no different than CompuServe was back in the day. However, Discord gets a bad name because it started out as a gaming platform, and they just think, well, I'm not a gamer, or my kids are on Discord, so it must be complicated. And so one thing I want to point out to everyone that's really important about this, what we're talking about today isn't really about the platform. It's more about designing the community. And a good community design, like a good building, can kind of be just about anywhere. You might make some little foundational tweaks, but that's just about solid earth. So the general structure though is kind of the same. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody gets that through their head while they're still trying to fight. Should I do school, or should I do Stan, or should I do Mighty Networks? It could be a piece of paper and an email, as we told you. So let's get in about that. Okay, so I guess you had something that said a community should be more like a product and not like a perk. And that hit me with a ton of bricks. So now I need to hear it straight from the Becky's mouth.
Yeah. So at Affinity Collective, our
I was like, wait a minute, how you know? I just get yelled at all day by Karen.
I usually shorten it, but now I'm like, I feel like I need to add the second word. Yeah. So we really think about community as a product, and there's a lot of ways to think about community. So if you're building like an e-commerce brand or a physical product brand kind of thing, or even SaaS or software, you might think about community as a marketing strategy to grow your business. And that is really different than the way I think about community in the context of the clients we work with, and how we build is more like the community is a membership and it is your product. And so the product, like, we need to measure what's working. We need to think about the user experience and how we're supporting people long term, how we're keeping them retained. And when we think about it like a product, that really means like we're measuring it and we're improving it over time and continuing to make it better. And it becomes like the business model or the growth engine. You might have other products you sell or have other things that you offer, but the membership, the community itself, is a product in your product suite, if you will.
I like that. I like that concept. And it's funny because I swear people ask me all the time, like, what's the best feature inside of Ecamm? And I'm like, oh, the answer is hands down the community. And they look at me sideways because they want me to say, like, this kind of recording, or it can do 27K. And I'm like, nah, it's the community. Like, anybody can copy the text features because the tech is out there, right? Anybody can copy. If you wanted to sit down, trust me, I don't suggest it. But if you wanted to sit down and write an app like Ecamm, you could do it. You just need, two people almost as smart as Ken and Glenn. However, you can't duplicate our community. And I stand on business. Our community is so cool, they can't be duplicated. It's impossible. So it's kind of unique.
Yeah.
So I would like to dip into the common mistakes people make when it comes to building a community, because I definitely made some. And I'm actually probably still suffering from my original mistakes I made when I built my community when it came to building mine. So I'm curious, what do you think the common mistakes are?
Yep. That people don't have a clear premise or purpose for what the community is. You can't just say like, "Oh, I'm going to build this. I'm building a community. Come join my community." Like, what's it for? Why do I care? Why should I spend my time there? You need like a really specific reason that you're bringing people together, and they should also have shared values, and there should be like a really clear goal or something that people are working toward in that space. That's like the number one thing. If you don't get that right, then it's not going to work. The other things, there's so many, but another big one, another big one is that people will overpromise. Like we'll promise too much on the front end and in the marketing. We'll say every month you're going to get a coaching call with me, we're going to do a co-working session, we're going to do blah blah blah. Like you basically promise a ton of programming that's really really specific. And or even like content drops, like you're going to get this resource every month. And what that does is it really locks you into this like rigid monthly ritual of stuff that you don't even know if it works yet. And it takes away your ability to truly experiment. And so you want to promise outcomes on the front end. Like, here's why everybody's coming together. We have this clear purpose and premise. And these are the outcomes that we're working toward. But the how you do it and the programming, you want to leave that to like post-purchase experience. And you can like share like, here's our upcoming schedule, or here's an example of some events that we've hosted in the past to give people an idea, but you're not making a ton of promises up front so that you can experiment more later, because the way to grow a community is to consistently get feedback and like dial it and make it better over time.
This is so good. Listen, people, you see this right here? I only have this much ink left in this fountain pen. I'm probably going to use it all because it's really good. There's really good stuff here. And trust me, family, when we do this stuff, it's so easy to make the mistake of wanting to put out so much content or have so many things. Even in the eCam community, we've definitely, Katie, Caleb, myself, Paul, Jill, we've drove ourselves crazy, like trying to do too much. And they're like, yo, we got to dial this back and just make them a little bit more feature heavy or more connection heavy than about like, here's another thing that we're doing. Here's another cool thing that we're doing. We definitely had those weeks where we show up and it's like, how do we book 4 things in 1 week? Who did that? Nobody knows how it happened, but it's a collision course on the calendar. Look, Jill is like, me. Yo, it's so easy to do, family. So if you do it, don't beat yourself up, but it's extremely easy to do. Jill and I were talking about some of this yesterday. You make me think of something, and I think you said it very succinctly. There's this concept around, just start this group, right? Just starting this group is like half the battle. And, again, like I said in the beginning, people get stuck in picking a platform. And honestly, just starting a group or just picking a platform is not really it. Because if people come in and there's nothing there, it's like walking into a store that doesn't really have anything. And you're like, why did I come in here? Especially if you heard it, someone told you, oh, Becky, you got to check this place out or whatever. And then you go there and there's really nothing there. And it's like, why did that person recommend it to me? They recommended it because they heard everybody else recommending it. So they recommended it to you, but they didn't take a second to see if it would even match something that you would be into. And now you're actually disappointed, which is worse than had you just not gone at all. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it's also the other thing can happen, which is that there's too much there. And that's why we need some kind of wayfinding. So like imagine you walk into a grocery store and there's no signage and you're like, well, how do I find what I'm looking for? And which area of this, maybe you're like a health junkie and you're like, well, which area of the store is for me? Like, how do I find the fresh produce and the health aisle, And so not giving people a really clear roadmap or onboarding experience for exactly what they should do based on what their goals are, what they're focused on. Like that's the next biggest miss is not meeting people where they're at in their post-purchase journey.
You guys, you have no idea. You have no idea. I live in Hawaii, and we're a large city. We're probably the 11th largest metropolis as far as population and things go. However, we don't have a lot of space. So I go to headquarters the first time at eCam. I step into the grocery store there, and I was like, what in the heck is this, bro? Their grocery store is the size of my Costco, and I have the busiest Costco in the planet. Their grocery store is massive. And Katie's like, yeah, just pop to the shop and shave and pick up some cream. I'm like, cream? I need a scooter to get to the cream aisle. I should have rented one of those electric ones from the front. All right, one last thing on mistakes before we dip out of here is what about this concept of giving them a clear reason to engage? I think that needs to be touched on, and I'm really curious of your expert advice on this.
Yeah, we are so confused about what good engagement looks like. Like we'll say, oh, like nobody's posting in the community, it's crickets, like it's failing, or the people are like liking posts or they're making posts, but there's no like real like meat to it. And what we need to do is define what does positive or good engagement look like in our community. So maybe that's that people are connecting one-on-one to each other. Maybe it's that they're actually making progress toward whatever goal you're helping them achieve. Maybe it's that they show up like they're live streaming and using their eCam online, right? Like what does good engagement actually look like? How do you define that? Once you define that, then you can actually design for it. So this is like the thing people really don't think about with engagement. It's like we think of engagement just as like clicks and likes and all of that, but engagement actually is like doing the thing that we want them to do. So let's say we want them to live stream more then how can you create programming that helps them live stream more? Maybe they're nervous to do their first live stream, so you make a live streaming for beginners programming. Or maybe there's like the core, like on in the onboarding flow, we take them through step by step of how they can do their first live stream. Okay, now we're driving that like engagement goal immediately. And so we need to define first like what is good engagement and then work backwards from there.
Love it. Love it. Matt,
How's your
look,
pen? How's your pen ink?
listen. I should have refilled. Good thing is I have a whole bottle here. I have never refilled the Sexy Purple live, and I kind of don't want to mess up the desk. So we got to keep it tight, Bex. We got to keep it tight. Listen, Matt, I love, Matt says he's loving the depth of this. And I think this is important. Even Matt, even in your comment, the concept is it's not just content for content's sakes. There's actually some depth to this. It's something that might trigger someone's thinking or trigger their movement forward. And that's why we redid the podcast this way. So you're not just listening to myself and Katie and whoever the smeeze is that week, just telling you things. We actually need to see you, move it, right? I like to move it. Sorry, I have musical Tourette's, Becky. Leave me alone. This is so good. I really, really enjoy that aspect of it because I do agree that's something that we've been working on a lot here recently too, is trying to find ways to get them. And one thing that's always driven me crazy about the general concept of the internet is there's the people that would just like a post. And I used to have a problem with the comment, "Oh, this is fire." I'm like, please don't tell me that. Fire why? My brain cannot do with that kind of thing because, first of all, I am extremely cocky. I don't need you to tell me that it's great. I need you to tell me why it's great for you because I'm doing this for you, right? As a Virgo, I have a level of conceit that doesn't need help. I just need you to tell me why it's working for you so I can make sure that I'm giving you the value that we want to deliver. So I really oh my God. Listen, can you hang out with us more? Listen.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's work on the community strategy.
I love it. So how does one specifically, like we have Matt in the community there today doing some things. We have a bunch of people that have been watching the other episodes. How does one design for a combination of like the low pressure engagement and the small wins that actually keep building instead of be like a post and ghost or a one and done?
Mm-hmm. This really comes down to designing for a member journey. And like all the things I've talked about so far, really, that's how I would categorize it is when we define like what does positive engagement look like? What is the purpose of this community? What outcomes are they working towards? We're able to then say, okay, well, how are we going to get people there? And I literally like design a flow chart sort of thing when I think about this. So it's like, okay, they join, then what? Then they do what? What's the next thing? And so we always want to answer that question, like, what should I do now? What should I focus on next? Until they're fully integrated in just the status quo or like ongoing experience of being part of the community. But there's usually a lot of things they need to do to get to that point because we have to build the habit. Like if you think about it, we don't do anything new like consistently without setting a really clear expectation with ourselves or a really clear like get it done plan. Like if you want to start, like let's say you don't ever exercise and you want to start going to the gym, you got to like decide how often are you going to go? What's your workout plan? Like how are you going to hold yourself accountable? What are you going to reward yourself with so that you actually show up? Like all of those things, right? And so it's the same thing when designing a community experience. You just need to design for every moment. You design for the serendipity, design for the wins and the integration of like actually practicing and doing the work as well.
Oh, man, listen. She said design for serendipity, people, and you guys know my brain. I went straight to giant ice cream from the end of the movie. Never mind.
Yeah, well, like if you want people to connect with each other, how can you like design for like a sweet touch point where it's like, okay, we're going to connect two people together. We're going to like match them or we're going to share on their intro post. We're going to comment and connect them with 3 other people that they should know. Like that's what I mean.
No, man, I have to tell you like, okay, we're gonna get nerdy here for a second. Speaking about serendipitous moment, we had no idea we're having this conversation today. And on Saturday in my group, we're doing our group meeting, and one of our users, what not really feeling stuck, but is in this conversation of like what they should post next. And so one of the other users started asking them questions. And it was bringing out a side of them and some answers that I'd never really seen them release in like the last 2 years of being in the group. So about 2 minutes into this conversation, I was like, stop the presses, pump the brakes. Here's what you're going to do. You guys are going to book time together, and you are going to interview her and then let her get her answers out freely. We're going to take these recordings and let her turn it into her writings, which is what she does. Because you're asking her questions that are so good, it deserves to be put somewhere, like the little bird in the Flintstones where they hammer it onto the stone. And so it's really, really cool what you said. Sometimes you link people up. And we have podcasts that have invented themselves out of being members of the Flow Riders or being members of the Ecamm community. Now they have their own podcast together because they found things that sort of match, right? Inviting each other to each other's shows. This is perfect example of how we do it. Maybe you didn't know it was architected that way, but I do love the concept of getting people to connect that way, because when you become a bigger part of something, you're in, right? You mentioned the concept of, what was the word? Like sort of like the retention of the community is once they're in, they sort of stay there to participate. So if we're thinking about this type of purposeful engagement, recently we've been trying some gamification things, but what would you say are some of the best ways to work on that, from a direct call to action? What are some of the best ways to get that sort of engagement where it, feels more meaningful and not just, I checked the box?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Bingo. I told everybody when I do my interviews, I'm always waiting for that. And I got there, dude. It took us 22 minutes. Write it down. Sorry.
Yeah, because a lot of times in communities, you'll see like prompts go out in the forum where it's like, okay, everybody answer this question. And meaningful, like that kind of stuff down the line, like let's say they've gone through their onboarding, their member journey, they've done the stuff that we've already talked about. The continuous engagement work is like what is valuable to them to what conversations are valuable for them to join is a good way to think about this. So I'll give you an example. I'm part of Jay Klaus's membership, the lab.
That's my buddy.
And me too. And every once in a while, he does a post in his community that's like, what's working really well for you in the creator world right now? So I'm butchering it. It's something like that. And it's always like a super highly engaged post because he doesn't do it super often, so it's not too frequent. But just reading the other replies and adding your own reply adds a ton of value for every single person in that community because the community is full of creators that are trying to grow. And so thinking through what is a really valuable conversation for our members to have is a good way to think about that, right? I also think about programming as a way to get people to engage long-term. So this is like the events that you host, thinking through like what conversations are coming up in the forum and what are people talking about, and using that information and the themes and the like looking for the patterns, the affinity of it, to understand what are the main questions or challenges that people have right now, and using that to decide, oh, this is the event we're going to do next week or month or whatever, so that people are feeling like, oh, the next thing on the calendar is exactly what I needed. It's like they're actually listening to me, right? And so just like driving engagement that way by using their own words to help you design your future programming.
Katie, you are an expert at this. You just don't know you're an expert at this, Katie, but you're an expert at this. Katie catches the people She has the antenna for it. She catches the people feeling like they're not having this confidence. Even like in the beginning, you said, I never really did it live. You don't have to. You got it down. Like you're perfect for it, right? So she catches it and she goes, hey, we're going to do a 2-day workshop on camera confidence. And we just did it like last week. And I think that's really helpful. And while you were talking, my brain is going, we kind of have a handful of people in the general capacity at Ecamm, right? We have the show builders, the studio builders, the confidence builders, and there's probably like a couple of more, right? Like, the webinar or workshop builders or course builders. And then there would be the last one, which would probably be sort of like the educators, entertainers, and musicians. I don't know how they fit into one. But the idea of building the content around what part of your building phase are you in, right? And I think immediately everybody goes to studio builder because they come in and they see myself or Jill or even the office, we built something and we might need to catch them and be like, no, pump them brakes. We're going to build the studio last. Let's get you building some of the easy wins first because building the studio is probably the hardest one. So if we can work on your confidence building and in your show building, and, maybe even community building, then we got you going. Now we'll come in and help you build your studio. And people are trying to, I'm going to pick this exact house because I saw it in Malibu. I'm like, you can't build that in Massachusetts. That foundation will not work on that side of the country. You know what I mean? Because
I do.
if you, see, you're an architect. See, why did I say, do you know what I mean? Never, don't listen to me, Becky. I'm weird. Because in Hawaii for the last week and a half, we have been fighting anywhere between, say, 45 and 70 mile an hour winds. Wow. And if I built the way that you build a house normally in some other places, the roof would be gone. Like we have to completely structure things so that roof does not disappear. And it's completely different. So the intention, boom, the purpose, making sure you're structured for your community, for the type of people that you're attracting. And like, it's so easy to assume you just want everybody in. And if they don't fit, like Jay, you can't get into the high portion of the lab without an anointment from Jay.
Yeah.
Like, this is how it works. Jay, like, yeah, you cool, but you're not coming up in here. Like, yeah. So that's funny. That's funny that you laugh at that. But I think it's brilliant. I think it's brilliant that he does that because then it makes more people just want to even more so get in. You know what I mean? It's kind of funny. Okay. So.
Well,
go ahead.
That also is a really intentional decision about crafting the community culture and understanding what the clear purpose is of that community. Because if everybody in there is meant to be professional creators that are at a certain level, if other people come in that are, beginners with zero audience, haven't set up their kit, haven't set up their, like never ever recorded themselves on a video, never written a thing, that's going to make a lesser experience for the people that are in there. And so we really need to think about like, who is this for? And who is this for? And
I gotta go, Becky. Bye.
I don't believe you. You're recording live on YouTube right now.
That is exactly what I did, though. I said, oh, everybody come, let's have a party. And I swear to you, I spent way too many meetings doing tech support because two things they read in the bio, works at Ecamm, bingo. So I'm spending my Saturdays doing my Ecamm job. And I'm like, no, I'm not here for that. Even when we do this show, we get tech support questions. And I'm like, yeah, this is the podcast. I can't really do tech support here, right? This is the podcast. It's different, right? And the second one is they saw my bio that I worked at Apple. So he really must know how to fix all of this stuff. And then I'm getting questions about my hard drive. Can you actually help me with something
real quick?
Yeah, 100%. Let's go. and what it is, I like to help people. Like I got that. I went from paramedic to computer paramedic, right? So it's the same thing. And like when someone says that their stuff don't work, how can I help? Like that's just a trigger for me. Yeah. And then we're gone. We're like 3 hours in. And honestly, one of my members hit me up and is like, what are you doing? I'm like, huh? And they're like, you can't spend an hour tech supporting somebody. Like, I really needed help with this, and I'm mad. And I was like, oh, because you never want to hear that somebody's mad. Mm-hmm. So, man, that crushed me. That would hit it right in the neck. It's still bleeding, Becky. Still bleeding. Oh my God, this is really good, fam. Listen, you guys are in the chat, and I see you down there. You guys are catching wins, but if you don't ask questions now, I'm sorry for you because I'm going to ask mine. So you better slip yours in. Just drop them in there. I will make sure that we get to them. But yes, I'm very get flabbergasted too often, but you really hit something hard, and I'm like, even though that happened a couple years ago, that's a hard one to shake because there's people who, even if I tell them, okay, we fixed that, we solved that problem, they may never come back, and there's no way you're going to find them back. So you really do have that one shot, Eminem. So you got to take it. You got to take it. All right. So
I heard that one in my head.
you did?
Too.
Okay, good. Okay.
I did.
Fam,
One
look, she's
opportunity.
becoming one of us. See, she got my musical Tourette's going now. So this is a fantastic question. Thank you, Katie, for this one. How do you know if the community is working?
You measure it. You look at your data. So I'm looking at, and this is why, to an extent, the platform you choose does kind of matter because you want to have analytics so you can measure. Not necessarily in the beginning, but like down the line, if you're really treating your membership like a product, then we need to have data to measure what's working and what's not. There's plenty of ways to do that without fancy platform. But if you do have a fancy platform that tells you what's your monthly active users, like that's a helpful metric to understand basically how many people or what percentage of your membership is logging in every month. I also we do a lot of building in feedback loops at Affinity. So we'll add in like at the end of a workshop, we'll add a poll. And in that poll, we'll say, how would you rate this call? What did you love about it? What could be better? And then we use that to design future sessions and get feedback along the way. I love surveying members at least twice a year to ask questions about what programming was their favorite. What are they working on right now? What do they care about? What are their goals? What are they struggling with? Which features of the community do they love the most? That kind of thing. Basically, you want to collect lots of data, and that starts to tell you a story, what your members care about, what's working, what they love the most, what they're generally working on, working towards. That's going to help you in so many areas to make things better and to figure out what your programming should be long term. Yeah, those are the main ways. Like that's how you know it's working. I would say actually the biggest way you know it's working that I didn't mention yet is, are people talking about it? Like, is your community growing from word of mouth marketing? Because the best way to grow a membership product is through word of mouth marketing. So if you focus on retention and customer experience, that's actually the best way to get that marketing growth that everybody wants. Like everybody's asking, how do I fix my funnel and what kind of freebies or whatever should I do to get more people into my membership? And that's the wrong question. It's actually like, how do you serve your members better and build a lot of just like trust and get more customer outcomes and confidence. And that's really what drives growth. So is your membership growing? That's a great indicator.
Sound like it a lot. Okay, this one probably predates Becky a little bit, but some of you people will understand this one. To me, I'm always leery of freebies, and I tell you why. Everybody in there, who had a stack of AOL CDs that fell out of magazines or came on top of something else, or came with the Sunday paper, or even if you go a little further than that, everything came with that red ticket to get you to sign up for Netflix back in the day. And maybe because my family owned an electronic store, so I was always opening, DVD players or VHSs. We had a stack of those red tickets that fell out of everything. Like when I go to set up someone's home stereo, I would just bring all that rubbish back. And we just made a stack of those red tickets in case somebody asked. And eventually, freebie doesn't necessarily work, right? Some of you guys still don't have your own Netflix and you use the VPN to figure out how to cheat. I'm not signing in from home trick. I didn't say that. But the freebie is not the answer. Like, it's not just it. It has to have a little bit more of something. And that is so awesome that you said that, because so much advice around is like, oh, make this lead gen, make this cool freebie, make this cool thing. And yeah, some people just, like Costco, just snatch the sample and run. They had no intentions on buying 80 pounds of tuna. They just wanted a snack because it was in the store and the kids making noise. Here, eat this, shut up. All right, Katie is giving us a question. Boom, I think Katie's typing. It says, what are 3 starting steps you would suggest for people starting from the ground up? Fantastic question.
Okay, 3 steps. The first one is to just start. I like to think of this as like your boots on the ground community building, which is talk to people, do one-to-one conversations. Um, oh, I love that. That's great. One-to-one conversations, getting people to connect with you. I mean, if you're a podcaster, that's a very like one-to-many relationship. People are listening to your show and they're connecting with you, but you don't really have a way to connect back with them unless you're recording live and talking to them in the YouTube chat. So, you know, saying like, hey, I would really love to, in your show, say like, hey, I would really want to connect with, you're listening to this show. Will you like DM me or whatever? Like starting conversations with your people that you're interested in building community with. Step 2 would be take your first step of bringing people together. So you start like one-to-one, and then you decide, okay, I'm going to curate some kind of experience or group. So maybe that's like a dinner in your community that you organize, or it's a virtual meetup. You're doing your first like round table community event kind of thing online. But that's step 2. And step 3 is you start to formalize some sort of like ongoing community experience. And I would really start that with like a group chat. Make it a WhatsApp group chat, make it free. You don't have to go crazy with all the stuff I've talked about so far around structure, because you have to first understand what are the things that are going to help you get to that goal of setting what the clear outcomes are and who it's for and all of that. It's like having these conversations helps you understand the patterns of what people care about, what they're working toward, what their challenges are, etc.
I like it. I really like it a lot. And I hope I didn't break this as I tried to do this, but I want to give the chat a chance to bring in some questions. So I typed this out right quick. If I misspelled it, don't blame me. I want to know, what are you guys struggling with when it comes to building your community? This is the perfect time to get that question in, because we might have the opportunity to help you. By we, I totally mean Becky. So, and my buddy Rich says, fun fact, in the 90s, I worked for an ad agency that designed gazillion of AOL CDs. That is awesome, Rich. That is
It's
absolutely
funny.
awesome. I used to use them to keep the birds out of the mango tree, because birds don't like CDs. So you just hang them in the tree and then they won't fly into the tree and eat all the dang mangoes. Katie said, these are great stuff, Becky's. I love how simple the approaches are. No excuse to getting started. You did say something that I think is key. I know a whole bunch of thriving communities that are nothing but WhatsApp chats, but they completely work. We have this football fans round, not oblong, football fans chat that's probably like 120 of us deep. And all we do is talk about Manchester United. And it started out with like 5 of us, and everybody kept bringing a buddy and kept bringing a buddy. And now we have this whole WhatsApp chat that's pretty massive. Okay, so question from Caroline. She says, I have a very strong community. They seem 30 plus people show up, watch videos, leave comments. However, my channel is not growing. I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong. That's at the YouTube side of this. Channel growth and community growth don't necessarily mean the same, because people that come to everything are not the same as the way platforms work. Right now, the thing about channel growth is you have to understand where growth is coming from. See, now you got me talking like Becky, because I always tell my people, don't stare at analytics, it'll mess you up. But this one you might have to. We have been all trained on subscriber numbers, and subscriber numbers don't work anymore. I don't need to subscribe to anything. I see everything that I need to see. And I know better because I'm a YouTube coach. I do subscribe to things because I know it makes the person who made that content feel better. But the average person that wasn't grown up with knowing how these platforms work, they don't know that they need to subscribe to stuff. And the reason for that is they no longer need to subscribe to stuff. If I were to go watch a bunch of podcast interviews that Becky's been on, I will be fed how to build community content for the next 6 days without me touching anything. I could watch 2 interviews, this one, and then what was another show you're on? I'll go watch that. And then that's all my feed is going to say for literally the next 6 days. And if I keep watching it, now my feed is hooked. And it will leave me that way until I get distracted and go somewhere else. So the feeds are based on your interest graph. So the best way you can grow your community, counterproductive, and the best way you can grow your channel, tell people to watch another video that either you created or somebody in your echelon created. So if Katie started her Katie Creates, what does she call it? She had a name for her show, Kate Creates or something like that. You say, hey, everybody, after you watch this video, go check out my friend Kate Creates. She just invented this new thing. Or, Becky starts a new channel and you tell people to go watch that. That will make your channel grow because your YouTube will say this person is helping people see stuff on our platform. The biggest mistake everybody makes is called Katie Creates. There we go. I was close, boss. The number one thing people do, I'm on YouTube and I'm like, hey, come over here and go to my website. You just took people out their store. And I'm telling you right now, if I was Mr. Nordstrom and you stood in my store and told people to go see Mr. Macy's, right in the face. So you got to keep them on the platform. If you can make people watch more videos, even if they're not yours, YouTube will reward you because you're being a good netizen. There you go. I hope that makes sense. All right. This is so good. All right. So again, people, I want to know in the chat from you guys, what are you struggling with when it comes to building the community? This is very, very good. Here's a good one. This is going from Katie to make sure you see it. What about asking to be a guest on shows that put you in front of similar communities? I love that. That is so good. That is actually brilliant. Actually brilliant. Super, super good. Very, very delicious advice. Let's see. I had one other thing not one other. I got thousands of questions now. You started it up. But this is a good one. What is something... This is very practical advice here, people. So get your pen out. I got mine ready. Maybe it's more than one. What are some things that people should stop doing when it comes to community and community building? Architecting. Now I'm going to use that new word, architecting.
They should stop it comes back to what I said earlier, like over promising on the front end. Like I like to think about marketing when people join or come into experience. We want to set the bar here, which is like, you want to be here in order to make that purchasing decision and feel good about that purchase. But then you want to blow them away on experience. Like you want to deliver here because that's what gets them to drive like the conversation around like, oh my gosh, I just joined this thing and it was incredible. Like when we promise too much, we're setting the bar too high. And then they come in and even if it's an incredible experience, they're like, well, yeah, that's what I expected. And so it's just like, it has this different psychological effect on like how we talk about it and share it and feel about it. And so, people should stop over promising so much. Like you're going to get this and this and this and this. And then we're going to do this and you're going to get these bonuses. And you're going to get 1,000 hours of video, blah, blah, blah. Like just chill with it, just dial it back a little bit. Just tell them what they need to hear to just say like, yeah, I want to be a part of this. And that would be like one of the big things. Another thing I would say is like doing too much content drops or like content overwhelm. We all have so much content in our lives to sift through. And so what's working better right now is more programming, more intentional, bringing people together than it is like, we're going to drop a new resource for you every month, or we're going to drop a ton of new content every month for you to consume. So I'm not saying like, don't record every week or something, like that's great. But I'm saying like, you don't have to necessarily produce a ton of additional content or have resources available just to keep up with your promise of you're going to get monthly content in your community. Like that's really not the thing that drives people to be engaged or excited anymore.
Family, I hope you guys are paying attention. I hope you guys are listening. This is super, super solid. Man, you made me think of something when you were talking about the over promising situation. I had an old boss and his entire thing was always, under promise and over deliver. And I consider him a very smart person. He's no longer with us, but his name was Stephen P. Jobs. And that was his core thing, every meeting, always under promise, over deliver. So you would come to the store and we're like, oh, it's going to take 7 days to do that. And we call you back in like an hour and a half. And okay, it's done. And they'd be like, wait, what? I didn't even get out the mall yet. Yeah, come back and get it. And that was very important. That shook people up, as opposed if we said, oh, I could do this in 20 minutes, and then something else happened which pushed it further away. And then it's an hour now because you got, sidetracked, or, there was something that happened in the store, some shoplifter did something and just broke the monotony. Things out of your control, right? And you had every intention on getting it done in 20 minutes. But if you tell somebody 20 minutes, they kind of want 19. So if you say 7 days and you get it done in 20, now you look perfect, so super brilliant. And we used to super under promise, like way down here, and then come all the way up here. But it was on purpose. And it sounded ludicrous when I first learned it. I thought that was the dumbest thing in the world. But the more you do this, the more you understand that's actually, true, right? That is kind of a big deal. I think a mistake is when I went to go build mine, I looked at the interweb, I saw what everybody else was doing, and I said I could do something like that, and then I'll add my own sauce. And it was all of everybody else's sauce which actually broke it. The stuff that I wanted to do that would have been what's considered my sauce was enough. But we spend too much time thinking we're not enough. So let me copy Brandon's community, or let me copy Caroline's community, or let me copy Becky's community. And, imagine making something called the slab, and I try to be like Jay. I'm not that close. No pun intended. I'm not even close. Never mind. Let me stop.
Not even close.
Let me stop. So what would be one thing that you think, if we are going to either start a community or fix a community, what's the important question? Maybe for ourselves. What's the big deal?
Why does this exist? Why does this community need to exist? Does it need to exist? Why? Yeah. Why? That really, just like going deep on that question, a few layers will help you identify who it's for and what they're working toward. Yeah. Another way to think about it, like, let's say you already have a community. What's working and what's not working? Like, that's actually one of the first questions I ask all of our clients. It's like, what's working really well in your community right now, and kind of like dig into that. And then we look at what's not working as well.
Fantastic. Okay, I want to cover this one. First of all, that was very, very well put. But I want to cover this one. Two things. First of all, I must say hello to PMD because she's coolest. Hello, P. And then one issue running against is the platform paralyzation when starting out. There's so many places to choose from, and where the community will be in the long term. And the reason why I wanted to go back to this, because it's something we mentioned at the very beginning of this. And so I'll let you handle that one.
Yeah. When you're first starting out, I wouldn't worry about platform. I would worry about, what are you providing people, and like, how are you bringing them together? And it's very possible that something like a free WhatsApp or like a free chat experience is good enough in the beginning. It really depends. Like, we recommend platform based on what the structure is, like what we've architected. And so if you are offering events and a community forum and maybe there's courses or content or whatever, then I just want you to choose a platform where everything is available behind one login. So they're not having to like have a Slack community and then like a online portal somewhere else, and then like they have to subscribe to a calendar or something. We're just adding a lot of friction to get them to participate. And in my experience auditing communities, when it's set up like that, people only participate in one piece of it. They're not participating in all of it. And so they might come to the calls and never log into the forum, or they might log into the forum and never engage with the calls or look at the content. So when you put everything in one place, you're able to more like craft a better experience overall that ties everything together. So we build the majority of our client memberships on Circle platform, Circle app, just to give you, if you just are like, just give me a platform, Becky, like that's usually my recommendation when you're doing all of those things. But if you're at the very beginning stages, don't go crazy with platform yet. Like, just think about how are you going to get people talking and connecting and coming together.
All right, very good. I have a weird question now. I know that Circle will be number one. So if you're going to ABC it, what would be your top 3 platform choices. And it's crazy because it
It,
used to be like 3. Now there's like 300.
honestly, it really, really depends on what you're offering. And so, I hate this question.
I know you do.
uh, I think like for example, if your people all work in tech and they're all on Slack every day, and what you're creating is a space for people to like ask questions and get answers, and it's like there's like not really a content aspect to it. It's really just like forum, then like Slack might be a good choice. If your people have never logged into a platform like that in their life, like a Discord or a Slack or something like that, is going to totally overwhelm and confuse them, then don't choose that platform. You need to think about who your people are. I've even like I'm very anti Facebook group at this point, but I have had clients who are like I've had two clients in recent years where like one was like a real estate community that were most people in there were ages like 40 plus, and they were women and most of them were moms, and they hang out on Facebook, and they were like, if we take this off Facebook, like it's so engaged, like we can't remove it, right? And I'm like, okay, like so like sometimes we're not always like forcing a migration, but you can migrate. So like we do a lot of migration projects. So if somebody, if you build something down the line and all of a sudden your WhatsApp chat is at 100 something people and you're like, this is too overwhelming and I can't keep up, then you're ready maybe for something different. Then we handle like migration projects. So just know that that's something you can do later. Like you can always migrate platform. Sorry, I'm not answering your question.
No,
So
you're
Circle,
answering it exactly correctly. I like it so far.
yeah, like my answer is like I wouldn't necessarily rank them, but school is like we have a couple clients on school, and it works if what you're offering is really simple. Like you can't add a lot of complexity there, and it's okay. So I would say, but Circle is always my number one when there's the community forum, the courses, the content, the event calendar, all of that in one
Yeah.
place.
So it's funny enough because I looked at platforms, and at the time I made my Discord, which is really stupid. Not that Discord is bad. It was stupid for my community because my people are primarily over 40. I was in like 4 different circle communities, and I was finding them. And then I told myself, well, I'm going to do Discord because maybe it's going to be cheaper. And it's not, because by the time I added the things I needed and then boosted the server to the level to have the stuff that I wanted, it cost actually more than Circle. So you can even get stuck with the quote unquote free stuff, including Facebook, because by the time you build all the things that Facebook is missing to get to there, it's more expensive. You know what I mean? So you totally have to be careful of this. And a common question, and you said it, well, if I have it and on Facebook, I can't move it because everybody's there. And I'm like, the problem with Facebook is those numbers lie. Our Facebook community says there's close to 50,000 people in the group, but there's really only 30,000 in the group. And active, I'm going to say maybe 500. Because Facebook numbers are always heavily inflated by drive-by, click ad, and they never came back to the group.
Yeah.
You yourself, not you, Becky, you yourself, I'm going to pick on Boss It Live. You yourself have clicked on a community in Facebook, and you ain't been in there since you went in there the first time to get your answer. But if you look in your side thing and look at groups that you belong to this avant-garde thing, this purple fountain pen ink lovers group, and you went in there once, they told you to buy Murasaki Shibuki, and then you bought it, and you had no reason to go back. So Facebook, I'm not a fan, and I agree with you on that. It's so true. This is great.
You're also competing with the algorithm. Like
Yes.
they're going to get a ton of notifications in addition to anything coming from your group. And so you're dealing with a lot of noise and competition that you're not going to get when you're on your own hosted platform.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I was right. I didn't want you to come back and try to hit me.
And also, I've noticed.
YouTube memberships are glorious. I do really wish that they're big enough that they don't have to hoard, so to speak. I wish they allowed for better connectivity with outside platforms, meaning that if you're a member on my YouTube page, I want to be able to give you that same level of membership in, say, Circle or Discord or some other things. And they tried it with Discord. It doesn't really work. So then you're giving people two places to join, which is kind of messed up because it's really good on YouTube. However, I put it there because of ease. People can easily hit the button and they're good. What's bad about it, though, is it makes it harder if the platform that you're working on doesn't allow you to give that person the same level of access in the other platform through either a free gifted membership that equals the same rank or something. So trying to do parity doesn't work. So in other words, if somebody joins higher than, say, the base level package on YouTube, to give them that in the external platform, these platforms make money off of the people you sign up, so it's harder to put them at the same level. It's a nightmare, and if it was up to me, I would not do that. And it's problematic for me. I didn't say that. It didn't come out right. Yeah, so it absolutely messed up. Be careful of that one. All right, let's make sure that you guys have homework because I need to make sure you guys have homework. We need to make sure that you guys are actually doing some things. So, Becky, I'm gonna let you give them a homework.
Like a to-do list or
Yeah.
like a come find
Whatever
me.
you, girl, you're the boss. I'm just over here pressing buttons and wondering why Paul is in my document. Hey, Paul.
Okay, so if you are building community, if you already have an existing community or you're trying to get started, check out my show, Build with Becky. It's a podcast. It's like voice notes from me. There are very short episodes. Great way to like learn, like dive deeper into the stuff that I'm talking about. So yeah, you'll definitely check that out. And then just, start conversations in your community, and when I say in your community, I mean with the people you want to build community with. Like start conversations with them, organize a meetup, start to think about how you can serve your podcast listeners and connect with them more. Like that's a great way to start that like boots on the ground process. And if you want to consider working with us, definitely check out our website, affinitycollective.co.
Listen, I like this. I am so glad that you stated that. I'm trying to paste this in the chat. I'm so glad that you stated that they could do a podcast that is short. We've been trying to tell people that, like, you can totally build a podcast that is short. It doesn't have to be like 47 million hours long or anything of that nature, because that freaks people out. Like, how am I going to do an hour every week? Mm-hmm. So about how long would you guess your episodes are? If they or are they not? They're just what they need to be and not different.
No, they're different. They range from like 7 to 12 minutes max. And some of them are a little shorter than that. But yeah, it's been amazing for my business. Like a lot of the people that end up working with us listen to the show. So if you have a business and you're trying to grow it, like it's been a great strategy for me. And I get a lot of great feedback from it. Like I love hearing from people that listen to the show, like, hey, I listened to this and I tried it. And like, I tried this strategy. I try to basically give people at least like one strategy or takeaway in every single episode that they can go do. But as far as like building the show goes, like for me, it's idea to scheduled in 15 minutes, which is crazy.
Oh, now we got to bring Becky back, Katie. We got to bring her back for, you want to make a short podcast? Listen to Bex. She has the answer for you. Because it's so hard to try to explain to people, because if you just watch what's out there, everything is like an hour. And one of my buddies, Sam, he retired it because it just got to be too much. But when iPhones first got apps, he had literally the 1 minute app show. And his podcast was no more than 2 minutes long every day for about 3.5 years. And they were phenomenal. They were absolutely phenomenal. Hey, you need to get the Marriott Bonvoy app because you're a Marriott user and you can use this. Go to the app store. Here's how you get it. It was brilliant. And it was ranked in the top 5 for the longest time. And a lot of people don't get it. Cool. A podcast can be that short. So I love the fact that you are doing this. Absolutely incredible. All right, gang. So we're going to make sure you do your homework. Make sure you follow in. And Boss It Live, I just want to say in a very succinct one-word answer. Girl. Okay, you came to the right spot. We will get you started on your podcast. Please do not put it off any longer. I'm going to suggest you don't even have to go through the whole old catalog. Just back up the last couple of episodes to start from January and make your way to here. That's going to give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 episodes to watch. You already watched today. And from that alone, you have everything you need in order to get your podcast started. And so thank you for being a new member of the Flow Riders, because we will definitely get your podcast kicked off. And we have a free podcast course. I'm surprised Katie and Pauline put the link in the chat already. We have a free podcast course. Becky, this was so awesome. You gave me so much to think about. And I listen, people, community is everything. I always say it. It's super important. This will probably be an episode that I myself, even after I edit it, will watch a couple times because there were so many gems dropped in. I'm definitely going to listen to Becky's show. I will binge watch that. Sorry, Gary V, you're getting booted. This is very important. So remember, next week is the mailbag app. So we need you to get your questions in, record your video. Please make them landscape if possible. That means hold your phone like a normal human. And get your video so we can get your mailbag questions out. I can't wait for next week's episode. And make sure you let us know in the chat or in any of the episodes how you've been doing so far with following along with the new programming. And next week, Katie will be back to help us. Becky, what's the fastest way for someone to find you, outside of the website?
I'm on LinkedIn and Instagram. Instagram is Build W Becky. And LinkedIn's just my full name.
Okay, I'm gonna get Instagram spam today, and then
Great.
Then about a week
DM
later,
me. I would love to chat.
A week
with you.
later, I'll be sending you reels, and you'll be like, "This dude." Ask Jill about I got epic reels though. I'm very curative with my reels. They all land. Anyway,
I would watch them.
Thank you so much, Becky. This has been absolutely awesome. I just remember Caleb was like, "Ooh, you guys are going to love this." And I was like, "Okay, all right, Caleb, let's go." And so it's been very helpful. Family, don't forget, if you have anything that you want to get to us, you want to talk to us, you want to find a way to work with us, we have flow.ecam.com. That's FLOWECAMM.com. That is the best way to get us. Line up wherever your podcast getting is got. Ask questions, comments, feedback, and the whole 9 yards. And I gotta say, this has been absolutely awesome. Thank you so much, Becky, for just being here today. You absolutely crushed it. This lady was like, "I never did a live before. I'm nervous." I'm like, "Child, please." Child, please. She crushed it. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks.
And you know what we say around here in these parts? Flow Riders out.